welcome to the Urban Cowgirl Show. Today is August 20th, 2012. We finally got our carrots planted in our carrot corridor with a soaker hose that goes off with a timer. Here's the other end of the corridor. It does make a 90-degree turn. We've composted the center of the corridor, soaked it, planted the seed, and now we'll watch to see the carrots come up and harvest them for the horses and cows. We are planning another carrot growing site at Shadrack Farms. A good source of information concerning carrot irrigation is at http://homeguides.sfgate.com/carrot irrigation-21034.html. Here we are in what we call a 295 HVC West Yard. Unfortunately, the grass is dying here because accidentally irrigation was left off, I don't know how many weeks ago, when we fixed some irrigation here and forgot to turn it back on. So this is a good time actually to maybe turn the soil and make sure the irrigation is proper for growing some more carrots. Yesterday I went to a local market, and a small local market, and I bought one bunch of carrots with greens, skinny little carrots with dirt in all the wrinkles, and maybe 5 skinny little carrots with the greens, and it was over $4. So if we can get some carrots growing here at Shadrack Farms, it must be helping us on the roadmap to profitability, which is what we aim for all the time. Okay, so Andrew is my expert on farming. He has been trained at the UCS farm, and he helped create the carrot corridor, which I've documented on video. And he and Kyle, my foreman, and Laura, my tenant, who graciously offered at least part of this backyard for growing carrots, have a plan. And Andrew has a mic on, and I hope the mic is working today. Can you tell us what you guys are planning? And then I haven't heard the plan yet, so but I did give some guidelines before they made the plan. Okay, go ahead, Andrew.
So yeah, we were talking a little bit about the utilization of lawn spaces in urban farming, and grass's ability to store nutrients over time and to accumulate them, and how the revolution is ahead of us, and the time is now to upturn your lawns and to plant food, which is what we're planning on doing here with the help of our lovely tenant. So yeah, hopefully we're going to be using this space just to put in, maybe 2 or 3 beds along the fence line. Should be able to grow us, a good couple hundred carrots.
Wow, that's a lot of money saved at the local market. Wonderful. Okay, so how wide of a corridor? Similar to the corridor we have over there, which is about 4 feet wide, or?
Yeah, I mean, each bed and path, is like together about 4 feet wide, 4.5 feet wide. Especially because our tenant wants to work on it, I think we're going to keep the beds more narrow so that she can easily access. She doesn't have to reach far in to weed or do anything or grab a carrot, or so we keep our beds a little bit more narrow, keep our pathways a little more wide, keep accessibility.
Okay, so I'm thinking in terms of along this west fence that has vertical so the horses won't reach through to get the carrots prematurely, and along this south fence which has white vinyl lattice so the horses can't reach through. And in fact, most of the grass, unfortunately, is dead along those 2 fences. Now, this is a backyard for Laura, so we want to stay away from interfering with her privacy, especially around the spa area, which is surrounded by some wooden lattice. And we have irrigation and are adding another riser or 2 nearby. In the next few days, we have irrigation close to the fence. So I don't think we have to go with the soaker hoses. But let me tell you what Home Guides carrot irrigation HTML file says about irrigation. So I think we're on the right track. I will give you this URL to refer to on your own, but it says carrots are nutritious root vegetables. They will do well when planted early in the spring while the ground is still cool. Now this is Santa Cruz. This is late in August. It is very cool. So I'm not too worried about.
Summer is another time when the carrots are planted.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so we're okay on timing of planting. And then it says requirements. They may be sown directly in the soil, and you can use a sprinkler. You can use a soaker hose. You can use drip irrigation. Well, in our corridor, we didn't feel that the irrigation that was sprinkling the pasture was going to be adequate for the corridor between what we call HVC 3 East and 2 East, and that's all documented by video. So we added some soaker hose, but soaker hose is an extra expense. It's not as convenient. It's not as neat as would be some properly timed, all done by automatic timers, irrigation for these, let's call them, I'd call it 2 beds, 2 long beds. One here.
Beds, yeah, maybe go make an L shape or something.
Okay,
like that.
making sure that we keep access available with this gate. Kyle, can you show the gate? Unfortunately, when we built this gate, we didn't make it big enough for our Kubota. But the Kubota has a nice loader. We have wonderful organic compost here. So I think that carefully manipulated with the Kubota, the compost can be dumped over the fences. You agree?
Yeah.
And then there'll have to be some manual work, or we'll have to use maybe some of our smaller garden tractors to spread the compost. Then there's one other issue. I'm a very animal conscious person, and I have been fighting ground squirrels and gophers and rodents here for many, many, many years. But you know what? I refuse to fight them with poison or even with this noxious gas that's being used in gopher tunnels. I either maintain as best I can by closing up holes that become dangerous to my horses, or what? What else can we do?
I mean, there's other organic methods. Most people trap. So you'll go out every day and find gopher holes that are active, they're still open, and you put a trap in.
And do what with the gophers?
And dispose of them.
See, you mean take them away or kill them?
Oh no, they're killed. There's nothing. If you don't want gophers, you have to kill them.
Or you just keep them out of where you don't want them. The only thing we can do then, because of my value system and because of the alternatives available to us, is just, and maybe Laura can help, come out here, and if we see gopher holes and gopher tunnels, do what we think we can do to remove them from our organic carrot sites and allow them to dig their holes elsewhere. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll document how we deal with it as we go through the progress of creating and maintaining, harvesting our carrots here at Shadrack Farms. Any other comments?
I'm good.
Are you okay on all of that plan, Laura? Okay, that's it for today. Today is August 29th, 2012. We spent quite a bit of time today, a single person, with a manual tool, which is hanging on the fence over there, trying to get the ground ready for the compost yet to come and plant the seed soon, the carrot seed. So I'm just keeping track of our extended carrot farming effort, one step at a time. This is Sonia Sokolow, the urban cowgirl at Shadrack Farms.
Right now we're trying to plant carrots in this backyard here, so this is our carrot test site. Right now we have 2 raised beds that we made. First we came in here and rototilled all the soil, then we began removing weeds and grass debris, And because the rototiller only goes so deep, we also had to come in here and hand till to about 12 inches so the carrots have enough room to grow. While we hand tilled, we added our own homemade compost that we've been making here. So right now we're going to water it and try to get rid of the seed bank that is in the soil. So we're going to water it and then pull the germinating weeds, and then probably water it again and then pull the weeds again before we actually start planting. So that's the plan right now. Things might change, but we'll keep you updated.
So the date is September 17th, 2012. It's about 11:45 in the morning. This is our Timothy hay test site that we're doing here at Shadrack Farms. As you can see, nice and green. The dry stuff on top was the previous grass that we cut, and now it's just resting on top. Eventually it will go into the ground, but you can see the grass has been growing very nicely, very lusciously. And if we move on further, we will probably, if we can lease some land, we'll move on to planting some more Timothy hay there. The date is September 17th, about a little after noon, and this is our test carrot site in this nice corridor here. As you can tell, there are lots of little green leaves popping out here. We planted these about 3 to 4 weeks ago, our farm expert at the time, but these aren't all carrots. The ones that are carrots have, let me find something for you, are these long ones that have 2 ends like that. So that's a carrot right there. All the other stuff is probably from previously when we excavated the site and brought in new manure and everything. It gave life to old roots or just old plants that decided to create new roots because we derooted everything. But as you can tell, it does go down the line for a while, and it does turn the corner. And I'll move down there because that is ones that were planted not as long ago. And we'll see where they're at. Now this is September 17th again, about 12:05, the second section of the carrot corridor. As you can tell, it's not as blooming as the other ones. That's because it was planted a week or 2 later. So you still got to give it some time, or even more, perhaps maybe 3 or 4. As you can tell, there are little buds. But it will eventually, like right there, that's a good carrot. And we'll be keeping you informed throughout the next couple weeks and give you an update on the progress.
Here's our newest plot. We have 2 plots ready to go for carrot seeding. And then here it is mid-September. But we don't want to seed yet because we want to come along to these 2 plots with a stirrup hoe and hopefully efficiently get these weeds, what you see here in these plots and between the plots are just weeds, get them out. Then we're going to continue to irrigate. We hope we have at least another month of sun before winter hits us. And then we're going to have to, we think, remove weeds again to do it efficiently so we don't have to get down on our knees and pull each weed out individually so that we don't accidentally pull out the carrots, which was actually a mistake that we made in our carrot corridor that we showed you a few minutes ago on this video. So that's the plan. We'll just keep showing you how we proceed to farm here on this urban rural setting, both carrots, both pasture, grazing grass, and a very special project in my heart, Timothy hay, which I can't get here in West Santa Cruz. They just don't sell it in my nearby feed stores, and I would love to look forward to leasing some contiguous land from my neighbors who don't use their land for anything else other than space. Somehow lease it, prepare it, water it, use my horses whenever possible, and get a large plot of Timothy hay growing here at Shadrack Farms, and then somehow figure out how I'm going to bale it. Because balers, you can get small balers, but they're extremely expensive, even used. And I do know somebody here in Santa Cruz who does have a baler, but whether he'll come into this small farm and bale for me, is it worth his while to come here? Is it worth my while economically to have him come here? I don't know yet. I'm dealing with those issues as I learn how to be an urban farmer here in West Santa Cruz. Well, I'm showing you our progress in what we call HVC4 East pasture, because on one of my prior shows about growing grass and growing carrots, we actually aerated this pasture, and you have to keep an eye on it. It doesn't seem to be getting green and tall and grazable. Yes, it does. I'm very proud of what we did here. You can see that there are places that are quite green and grazable. However, as we walked in here, we noticed here it's quite dry. We can see the soil is a little bit wet, but not wet enough to this time of year, which is mid-September 2012, to grow this grass or this feed for my horses. It's various seeds, to grow it substantially, like over there. So we did try to just now work on getting that sprinkler. We have an irrigation riser. We have them all over the place. We have irrigation risers everywhere. But this one here, it's an older one, so it doesn't have all of the mechanisms on it to direct the water where you want it to go. Plus, we need to turn it on and see, when nothing else is on, when this line is on, are we getting the proper spray to this portion of our pasture where we need more water. That's all we need here. We aerated, we seeded, we covered the seed with nitrogen shavings, but now I can tell, just by looking at the growth, that it needs more water. It is so critical to irrigate properly. And as a matter of fact, I'm looking for some farmland to maybe expand my Timothy hay efforts. But every time I ask what's the GPM of the well, nobody ever knows. And I really want to have at least 30 gallons per minute to proceed to grow Timothy hay on a larger plot. Well, here's one of the corral pastures that we videoed a couple shows ago. We had some dry spots, we had some damage from rodents. It's much better now. So I'm proud that we were able to make sure the water hits where we want it to. We reseeded, covered with nitrogen shavings. There aren't any rodent holes right now. And spots like, I'm going to walk over there. I'm going to show you how to recognize a spot like this and on my evaluation of what's wrong. The horses like to pee and poo in places where the grasses are high, so they don't get splashed. I think that's their objective. Well, then if we don't keep the grasses down low, they'll keep peeing and pooing there, and what they're doing is killing the grass. So we just were able to schedule in some mowing with a catcher and weed whacking with a rake, because I don't leave any grass leavings in these grazable pastures. It can be dangerous to a horse to eat the leavings of a mow or a weed whack. But it's areas like that if we could just have a regular mowing with a catcher and raking after a weed whacker schedule, the horses wouldn't destroy the grass in certain areas. But for now, this is the best we can do, and I'm proud of what we've done. If you look back at a prior video, you'll see that this particular pasture corral, which I call HVC2 West, was in much worse shape about 4 to 6 weeks ago. So it's a constant battle. Farming and ranching is 24/7, and that's that. There's no way around it. So you try to have the proper helpers around to help you with the care of the property, the care of the livestock, and yet give you, the farmer, the rancher, some time off, because it's nice to have it. But it takes a lot of scheduling, and luckily I live across the street from a university, and I usually can find reliable students who are happy to come over here in this urban rural setting, which is very different from what it's like just a mile away, which is all city. Very different lifestyle. You have to appreciate it, and then have to be lucky enough to know that I have a job opening. That's all for today. Sonia Sokolow, the Urban Cowgirl. Okay, team effort here to try to get most of the weeds out of this initial corridor that we planted without having to do hours and hours of on your knees weed pulling. We may have to do it though, because we don't want to use any kind of herbicide. This is a carrot plant. It's kind of cute. We've got a lot of those down this carrot corridor. It has a single root. You see, a carrot is a root plant. And it's trying real hard to come out. What I'm wondering is, if we wait long enough, will the carrots just keep growing and the weeds not? Probably not, because we have, I think, a variety of weeds here. But Kyle was here when Andrew helped us plant this corridor, and Kyle recalls better what we did to get the soil ready and as weed-free as we could. Kyle?
So originally when this corridor was filled with vinca and a bunch of different weeds, so we spent several times where we would weed the corridor and let it regrow and then reweed it in hopes to get rid of the seed bank. But as we tilled the soil and added our own compost, we dug up more of the seed bank, and so that came into our beds. So we let it grow, and then we pulled it one time and then thought that would be enough to start planting, and then we planted. But unfortunately the seed bank is still there for the weeds. So you can see all the weeds down the corridor. So now we're debating whether we want to spend the time hand pulling all the weeds, or if we just want to go through with a spur hoe and take everything out and then replant the carrots again after we get rid of that.
Sarah, could you bring the two hoes here?
I got it.
Okay. Spur hoe, what is that? Stirrup hoe. Sorry. Okay, we're all horsey-minded here. Spurs or stirrups, they're both horsey things.
Yeah.
Okay, so
this allows you to kind of scrape off the top if like your weeds don't have really tap roots that aren't super down. You can just pull off the weeds off the surface. A lot of these are like that. And then a hoe, a regular hoe we have here, so we can just kind of, if the weeds go deeper, we can pull them out that way too.
Okay. Sarah, you take one of the hoes, and Kyle, you take the other hoe. You take the stirrup hoe, and let's see which way is best to do it. On your knees, picking the weeds that we know not to be carrots, and it's pretty obvious now by looking down this corridor which ones are carrots and which ones are not. And let's see, maybe the regular hoe is good for on the edges, except I see some carrots on the edges. Oh look, there, Kyle is doing.
You don't need, our soil's pretty wet here because we irrigate it with soaker hoses every day. So it's not too much work to just take this and go down.
But do you feel that you're getting the carrots too?
I got a few carrots just now.
Yeah, I think it's got to be hand done.
It'll have to be hand done if we want to save most of the carrots.
So then the other question is this. We did do what we thought was the right thing to organically plant these carrots and not have to use herbicides. So I'm thinking maybe it's not real hard to plant the carrot seed, right, Kyle?
No, you just lay out 2 rows, and in these beds, at least that's how we measured out, was 2 rows, and you just sow the seeds in, and then kind of put the soil on top of it. It doesn't take too long.
Well, then I looked up on gardening.yardener.com planting carrots, and I found that there are some basic guidelines for fall planting of carrots, and this is middle of September. Fall is about to start. And it says, time a fall carrot crop to be ready for harvest about the time the first light frost usually arrives in your area. This is West Santa Cruz. It's going to be quite a while before the light frost hits us, because we're right by the ocean and have very mild climate. It says here, count back about 3 months from this frost date to estimate sowing time. Sow carrot seeds in the fall The same way as in the normal growing season, it is not necessary to harvest all mature carrots when winter arrives. They can stay in the ground under lots of mulch until the soil freezes so hard it prevents harvesting. Okay, well, I think that's the approach we're going to take. We're going to, within reason, try to remove the seeds, probably with that stirrup hoe. What do you think about the solid hoe, Sarah?
I wouldn't use it. I mean, the ground's so loose that it's
okay.
really needed. This is for like dense ground.
Okay. Sarah's saying it's the soil is so good and loose. And by the way, this is West Santa Cruz near the ocean. We're actually in the ocean zoning ordinance. We're 6 miles from within 6 miles from the ocean. We have a lot of sandy soil. And on the front of this, which I'm helping guide us on our carrot growing, it says that carrots do best in sandy soil, but few of us have sandy soil. Well, luckily we're in West Santa Cruz, and this is sandy soil, so we have a good chance of letting these teeny weeny little carrots grow to maturity, be available for my horses and my cows to eat. So I'm really looking forward to sowing our carrots here. We're going to do what Kyle and Sarah are doing, especially with the stirrup hoe. It maybe won't take more than, what's your guess, Kyle? 3 hours or so?
Yeah, I mean, if we're pulling them by hand, if we're using the stirrup hoe and just tilling everything out, it would be much faster. But yeah.
That would mean we'd be sacrificing these darling little carrots. Yeah. I think what we'll do is we'll get some more carrot seeds. We have to for our other plot anyway, the one in the backyard, the two in the backyard. Yeah. No, I mean, and we're going to add some carrot seeds here, and then we're going to have to be vigilant, because look, it's been at least twice before that we've pulled weeds, but they're still coming up, and maybe that's an ongoing battle in organic farming. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, I think so. Until you've got rid of that seed bank, which could take, I don't know how long.
Many seasons, maybe. Many plantings, maybe. But okay, this corridor is in fact a corridor between two corral pastures. My horses can't get to it. We've got the water hoses set up. We've got timers. We're not in a rush. We just want to do it, harvest it, and enjoy it. And we'll just keep trying to let you know how we're doing, the progress. Are we getting our carrots? Which, recall, I said in the prior sections of this show that green carrots in the small markets nearby here are quite expensive. So growing our own could be definitely on the roadmap to profitability here at Shadrach Farm. See more at www.urbancowgirlchannel.com.